Hi guys, it's Morgan, and today I'm going to be talking about differences between the book and the movie Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Now, if you haven't read the book Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows or seen the movie Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, this video will contain spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, stop watching the video now, go read the book and see the movie, read all of the Harry Potter books and see all of the Harry Potter movies while you're at it, and then come back. Or if you don't care about being spoiled, keep watching. So here are differences between the book and the movie Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. In the book, Ollivander knows about the Elder Wand, but he doesn't know what the term Deathly Hallows means. But in the movie, he does know what the Deathly Hallows are, which was good because he was able to tell Harry, Ron, and Hermione more information. In the book, Bill tells Harry that goblins don't trust wizards, and while this isn't mentioned in the movie, it's pretty clear when Griphook asks them how they got the Sword of Gryffindor, and Harry tells him that it presented itself to them in a moment of need, and they didn't steal it. In the book, Lupin visits Shell Cottage, but that doesn't happen in the movie, which is weird because in that part of the book, Lupin tells Harry, Ron, Hermione, Bill, and Fleur that Tonks gave birth to a son named Teddy. In the movie, we never see Harry being told this, but he must have learned about it off-screen because when he talks to James, Lily, Lupin, and Sirius in the Forbidden Forest, he mentions Lupin's son. In the book, Hermione as Bellatrix and Ron also in disguise walk with the Death Eater Travers, while Harry and Griphook are under the invisibility cloak, into Gringotts. This doesn't happen in the movie, which makes sense because Travers wasn't really a big part of the plot. Also in the book, before Travers shows up, a man with a bloody bandage on his eye yells at Hermione, who he understandably thinks is Bellatrix, about where his children are, and then Ron knocks him out. But that's not in the movie either. In the book, Griphook takes the Sword of Gryffindor and leaves Harry, Ron, and Hermione in the vault. In the movie, Griphook grabs Hufflepuff's cup and tells Harry that he'll exchange the cup for the sword. And when Harry gives him the sword, he gives Harry the cup, but then leaves them in the vault. So in both versions, Griphook betrayed them. In the book, Harry's the one that comes up with the idea to use the dragon to escape Gringotts. But in the movie, Hermione comes up with the idea to escape on the dragon. And I actually like the way it happened in the movie better, because you wouldn't think that Hermione would come up with an idea like that, because she even said it was mad. In the book, when Harry, Ron, and Hermione get to Hogsmeade, they're under the invisibility cloak and see Death Eaters and Dementors. And while we see Death Eaters looking for them in the movie, we don't see Dementors and they're not under the invisibility cloak. Also, when Aberforth brings them into the Hogshead, we don't hear him arguing with the Death Eaters in the movie like we do in the book, which was probably because they wanted to get to the meeting of Aberforth Dumbledore quickly. In the movie, Harry tells Aberforth about their mission hunting Horcruxes, but in the book, he doesn't. Also in the book, Aberforth tells them his backstory with Albus Dumbledore and Ariana Dumbledore, but that's not included in the movie, and the only thing Aberforth says about Ariana was she was one of the things that Dumbledore sacrificed in his quest for power. In the book, Terry Bott explains what a diadem is, but in the movie, Cho Chang does. And also in the movie, Cho points out to Lavender that the diadem is lost, but in the book, Michael Corner does that. And I think I know why they had Cho do both those things in the movie, since between Cho, Terry, and Michael, we know Cho better. In the book, Cho offers to take Harry to the Ravenclaw common room, but then Ginny says that Luna can take him, since she obviously trusts Luna alone with Harry more than Cho. But But in the movie, they don't go to the Ravenclaw common room because when Harry's on his way there, Luna stops him and tells him that since there's not a person alive that has seen the diadem, they have to talk to someone who's dead. I wish we had seen the Ravenclaw common room in the movie, because I'm a Ravenclaw and I would have loved to see my common room. And I also really like the part of the book where Amicus the Death Eater spits at McGonagall, and then Harry takes off his invisibility cloak and uses the Cruciatus Curse on him. And even though the Cruciatus Curse isn't the best curse, it showed how much Harry respects McGonagall. In the book, the duel between McGonagall and Snape happens in the corridor, and Professor Flitwick and Professor Sprout help McGonagall until Snape leaves through a window. In the movie, the duel takes place in the Great Hall. And I loved Snape's reaction when McGonagall went in front of Harry, because you can just see that he didn't want to fight her, but he knew he had to because he had to keep his cover. In the book, Percy comes to Hogwarts to join the fight against the Death Eaters, and he apologizes to his family. But that doesn't happen in the movie, which makes sense because it's not mentioned in the movie that he chose the Ministry over his family. But in the movie, during the scene where everyone comes into the Great Hall behind Harry, if you look behind Fred and George, you can kind of see Percy, but he comes in a little later than everyone else. In the book, when Pansy says that someone should grab Harry, everyone except the Slytherins point their wands at her. In the movie, when she says someone should grab Harry, everyone except the Slytherins stands in front of Harry. And I really like that scene. In the book, Nearly Headless Nick helps Harry find the Grey Lady, who's the Ravenclaw ghost. But in the movie, Luna helps Harry. And that makes sense since Nearly Headless Nick wasn't in the movie. In the book, after talking to Helena Ravenclaw, Harry and Hagrid go looking for Ron and Hermione. And when Harry finds them, they tell him that they were in the Chamber of Secrets. In the movie, they tell him that they know where to find basilisk venom before going to the Chamber of Secrets. And I really like that we actually saw them in the Chamber of Secrets in the movie, instead of just hearing about it like the book. In the book, Hermione kisses Ron after he says that they have to warn the house elves about the Death Eaters because they don't want another Dobby and can't order them to die for them. In the movie, they kiss in the Chamber of Secrets. And this difference makes sense since Hermione wanting rights for house elves wasn't included in the movies. In the book, Draco Malfoy, Vincent Crabbe, and Gregory Goyle show up in the Room of Requirement so Draco can get his wand back, and then Crabbe dies in the fire. In the movie, Blaise Zabini takes Crabbe's place, and Goyle dies in the fire. And this was because the actor that played Crabbe was arrested. In the book, when Percy and Fred are fighting Death Eaters, they see the Death Eater that is currently the Minister, and Percy tells him that he's resigning. And when Fred's laughing at Percy's joke, he's killed. In the movie, we see Fred fighting, but we don't see the moment he's killed. We see his body later. And I actually like that because the part that he's killed in the book was really sad, so it would have been really sad to see it in the movie. In the book, when Harry, Ron, and Hermione see Greyback biting Lavender, Hermione blasts him away with her wand, and then he's hit in the head with a crystal ball by Professor Trelawney. In the movie, when they see Greyback biting Lavender, Hermione blasts him out the window, most likely to his death. Also in the movie, it's kind of implied that Lavender dies, but in the book, it's not said. So, who knows? But I did like that Hermione tried to save Lavender, especially because of the love triangle between Hermione, Ron, and Lavender in Half-Blood Prince. In the book, Harry, Ron, and Hermione see Dementors, but because of his feelings about Fred's death and Hagrid being taken away by spiders, Harry can't make a Patronus until Luna, Ernie, and Seamus help. In the movie, when they see the Dementors, they stare at them until Aberforth Dumbledore shows up and gets them to leave with his Patronus. And I really like that part because since Aberforth told them that he had basically given up with the war, it proved that he didn't. In the book, Voldemort has Nagini in a sphere to keep her safe, but in the movie, she's not in a sphere. But she must be under some type of protection because when Ron tries to aim a curse at her, it kind of goes through her and hits the stairs. And also, when Harry reveals that he's alive, he tries to aim a curse at her, but it kind of misses her and hits some Death Eaters to the ground. So in both versions, it was clear that Voldemort went through a lot to protect Nagini. In the book, Voldemort kills Snape in the Shrieking Shack, but in the movie, he kills him in a boathouse. Also in the book, Snape's memories come out of his eyes, ears, and mouth, but in the movie, they're just his tears. And also in the book, Snape only says, "Look at me," to Harry before he dies, but in the movie, he says, "Look at me," and then says, "You have your mother's eyes." And this was probably for the people who might not have read the book before seeing the movie and didn't know about the Snape and Lily storyline. There are some differences between the book and the movie regarding Snape's memories, but the one thing that has always broken my heart is in the movie when Snape walks into Harry's room and sees Lily dead on the floor and he starts crying and he holds her body. That really broke my heart, and I thought Alan Rickman did a great job with that scene. In the book, it's revealed that Snape knew where Harry and Hermione were when he sent the Doe Patronus because the portrait of Phineas Negulus Black told him. But since Phineas wasn't in the movie, it's unclear how Snape knew. The only thing that I could think of is that he was secretly working with Aberforth Dumbledore, and he told him. In the book, it's revealed that Colin Creevey had snuck back in to fight the Death Eaters, even though he was underage and was killed. This doesn't happen in the movie, which makes sense because the only movie that Colin Creevey is in is Chamber of Secrets. And I'm actually glad it wasn't in the movie, because that was such a sad part in the book. I wouldn't have wanted to see it. In the book, on Harry's way to the Forbidden Forest, he sees Neville and tells him that Voldemort's snake Nagini has to be killed. In the movie, when he leaves for the Forbidden Forest, he sees Ron and Hermione, and he tells them that he's a Horcrux and he has to die. And Hermione says that she'll go with him, but he doesn't let her, which was sad. In the book, Dumbledore talks to Harry about the Deathly Hallows and about his life, and asks Harry for forgiveness. But that doesn't happen in the movie, which makes sense because a lot of Dumbledore's backstory wasn't in the movie, so he didn't have anything to apologize for. In the book, Voldemort tells Narcissa to check to see if Harry's really dead, but in the movie, she checks on her own. And even though she knows that Harry's alive, she says he's dead so she can go to the castle and look for Draco. And that's the second time that Harry was saved by a mother's love. In the book, Lucius and Narcissa are running around looking for Draco while the fighting's going on. But in the movie, Draco just walks toward them when they bring Harry's dead body to Hogwarts. This scene was a little weird because this didn't happen in the book, but when Draco was walking towards his family, Voldemort hugged him, which was a little creepy. And I think I read somewhere that Tom Felton had no idea that Ralph Fiennes was going to do that. In the book, Voldemort tortures Neville by putting the Sorting Hat on his head and lighting it on fire. But that doesn't happen in the movie, which is good because that wouldn't have been nice to see. Instead, Voldemort just laughs at Neville's speech. In the movie, when Molly Weasley killed Bellatrix, Bellatrix explodes. And that doesn't happen in the book, but I guess they just wanted to show how big a deal it was that Bellatrix was killed. In the book, while Harry and Voldemort are fighting, Harry reveals to Voldemort that Snape was acting under Dumbledore's orders the entire time and that Dumbledore's death was planned. And he also tells Voldemort that Snape wasn't the master of the Elder Wand. Draco was, since he disarmed Dumbledore. but since Harry disarmed Draco, the Elder Wand was now Harry's. That's not in the movie, which is too bad because I would have liked to see Voldemort's reaction to that. In the movie, when Voldemort dies, his body disintegrates, but that doesn't happen in the book. But I guess they wanted it to disintegrate just to show how big of a deal it was that Voldemort was dead. In the book, after the battle, Harry, Ron, and Hermione go to the headmaster's office, and Harry talks to Dumbledore's portrait, and he decides that he doesn't want the Elder Wand and only uses it to fix his broken wand. In the movie, they don't go to the headmaster's office, but Harry ends up breaking the Elder Wand and throwing it off the bridge, and you can definitely see that Hermione and Ron are shocked by that. But he breaks it without fixing his own wand first, at least as far as we could see. In the epilogue scene in the movie, Teddy Lupin and Victoire Weasley aren't mentioned like they are in the book. I actually read somewhere that they did film a scene with Teddy, but then didn't put it in the movie. Also, in the book, Rose Weasley is already in her robes, but in the movie, she isn't. And also, there's that whole part of the book where James Potter is teasing Albus Severus Potter that he'll be in Slytherin, but that's not in the movie either. When I was rereading the epilogue chapter, it just really funny to think about how it's the beginning of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and that if anyone wants to know how Albus Severus Potter's years at Hogwarts are, they can find out. I'm excited that the show is coming to Broadway. Thanks for watching, guys! Let me know in the comments if there's something that happened in the book Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows that didn't happen in the movie Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, but you wish it did. Also, if you want to see any of my future videos, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!